listen to what they're trying to achieve, and then have the faith and confidence that you have partners behind you that can deliver that. But I think what a lot of people do is they want to become experts in these silos of expertise. That expertise in that silo kind of limits you to that bundle. Then you're kind of sole source to providers who only play in that one game. It's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy. I don't know cybersecurity, so I'm not really going to talk too much about it. Well, you're not going to do much in cybersecurity. You're not going to become an expert until you at least get involved in more opportunities. So be okay being dumb and bring in people who can help you execute.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Incident Report presented by Quest Technology Management. I'm Paul Burke, Director of Technology Communications. Every week, I'm joined by VP of Sales and Partnerships, Adam Burke. The Incident Report brings you conversations with thought leaders, business innovators, and channel mavericks to help you stay productive and agile in a changing technology landscape. Hey everybody, welcome to the Incident Report. I'm your host, Paul Burke. I'm half your hosts. Across from me, every week I say across from me, literally today, across from me at this table, Adam Burke, coming in live.
We're coming in live, or as the kids say, IRL, in real life, at Quest headquarters, broadcasting from the beautiful Roseville, California.
It's a beautiful day.
It is. The rain has ceased. The tides they're flowing out to sea. The flooding that I know some people in Sacramento have been dealing with. It's been a bit of a mess in Northern California, but I think the rains have finally subsided. So
this whole face-to-face thing is very different. It's very strange.
It is. It is. Yeah. Usually it's a little square head talking to me across the wire, but in person is a different experience. I'm sure the audience will pick up on the subtle differences.
I think it's episode 45. If it's not, I'm going to go back and edit that out, and I'll just be like, hey, welcome to another show.
Episode 45, the best number, absolute best, fantastic, magnificent, best number.
If it's your first time at the Incident Report, sit back, enjoy the show. We're going to find the most interesting stories that we think are going to help you in your book of business. These are events that are happening in the channel that we think you need to know about.
Absolutely. We go through some articles. We talk about some things that we're seeing from a trend perspective. And, we're getting more and more feedback from some of our partners and some of our clients around things that they want to hear about. So I'm excited about what we're jumping into today. That's for sure.
And this kind of feels like a Joe Rogan studio because we got it up on the big screen here.
We do. We don't have a Jamie in studio right now with us, but we do have it up on the big screen. It's pulled up on the, we have a little audio visual set up here. It's fantastic. Got my little screen pop going there, and we're going through the article live. Yeah.
The article we want to talk about today comes from channelfutures.com. The link will be in the description. Insight Enterprises Burger says Solutions Integrator Vision will double customer share. And Adam, you highlighted this article and sent it to me. And while I was reading it, I was having deja vu because it feels like Insight's vision is very similar to what Quest implemented years ago.
So people might be like, well, Quest and Incident Report, why are you guys highlighting, an Insight article? Aren't they like a competitor of yours? And absolutely, yeah, we do compete with all sorts of folks, but we also have a pretty diverse, partner community. And, some of the insights that Burger was sharing as far as why he's coming to Insight and the teams that he's building out there and the vision that they have as far as the next phase of all things IT really resonated with our culture and some things that I've seen and some things that our company's been kind of built around. So it was kind of fun going through his background and how he came to a little bit of his insights as far as, how they're going to grow their revenue, because it was kind of like reading a little bit of our own book in some regards.
There's a lot of great quotes from Burger in the piece. This one stood out in particular. Market growth is about depth and not breadth. Going and finding the other half is a fool's errand. We will always add more customers, but that's not really where our growth is going to come from. Going to customers where we've got 1% market share and going to 10% because we can combine is the opportunity. So it's interesting how they want to scale down the amount of customers, but scale up the integrations with each customer.
It's a huge opportunity for anyone who can help organizations execute on IT. There are different providers out there, right? There's the Insights of the world, CDWs, SHIs, large folks who sell a lot of product and a lot of software, but maybe don't jump down the services and integration engagements too often. And I think we've talked about this before, where you can build it, you can buy it, or you can partner to deliver it. It looks like Insight is promoting the idea that they brought this gentleman on from Capgemini to help them build it internally. There are other people out there in the marketplace that we work with who have partnered with firms like us to help deliver it. And then there's other firms out there, we're seeing it all the time, that are buying it, right? They've been selling thousands of customers Microsoft software for 20 years. The CDWs of the world are selling switches, routers, and servers to thousands upon thousands of customers. Their database of existing customers is massive. Multi-billion-dollar companies moving a significant amount of revenue. But what everyone's kind of sensing and what we're all seeing is that customer demands are changing. How they're wanting to consume technology is changing. And these organizations, these behemoths that have moved a ton of weight from a hardware and software standpoint, are having to figure out, okay, what's next? What do we do next? And Dee Burger is going through, he kind of lays out his game plan as far as like, okay, we have an existing account base. How do they know all the different areas where we can help them? And that's a very, very similar challenge, I think, that everyone across the channel is dealing with.
Dee mentions that, I'm going to say something counterintuitive. I want fewer things in our portfolio and ultimately fewer customers that we focus on, because I want to focus on picking a set of things that we're absolutely great at, not just running the inventory list. How do you think how do you think the channel kind of ties into that?
Yeah, I think a lot of people love the specialization story, and the specialization story is fantastic. A lot of our vendors that we work with, the Microsofts, the Ciscos, name the vendor out there that comes in, they love to go down that specialization concept. So I would vary from that statement a little bit, at least for our own strategy, in the idea that some people believe in specialization. Well, specialization is fantastic and limiting your focus is fantastic. But if you're out there hunting opportunities and hunting people to, engage with, and you're looking for that opportunity, if you narrow your lens and you narrow your scope, it's good if you're right.
What if the winds shift and suddenly you're wrong and those people don't want to work with the things you have?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of a balancing act. Like you got to find like the right spot, right? Mm-hmm. You got to find, you can't be all things to all people. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, a lot of the discipline that makes you a successful operator in a disaster recovery space is going to make you a successful operator in an incident response or a cybersecurity space, mm-hmm. or an application development. All that discipline on how to manage a project, how to manage an actual deliverable with a customer, those aspects cross the entire spectrum of IT. And that's really where we've seen success as a company, is delivering on complex solutions that touch multiple aspects of technology, that building blocks approach to engaging with partners and our clients. That's one of the areas where I think we differ, is that specializing in something and coming to the table with a predefined answer to someone's problem is not where we've seen a lot of success. We see a lot more success understanding the problem they're trying to deal with, and then taking all the tools that are available to us to deliver on what they're trying to do.
So would you say this is a hot tip for Insight enterprises that you're giving them?
No. I just think people have different beliefs as far as how to be successful. And our strategy is not necessarily the right one. When you're dealing with an organization that's been doing things a certain way, you got to leverage the strengths. And Insight and these massive organizations that have been delivering specialized product and service delivery, when you get into the integration space, you're building from where you came from, right? Mm-hmm. So everyone's got baggage. Everyone's got baggage, right? And you got to deal with that baggage in your transition. This transition that they're going through is something that the market's been going through for 20 years. Mm-hmm. We sat in Quest is a Cisco Gold partner, and we've been a Cisco Gold partner for a very long time, since the mid 90s. And we sat in a John Chambers Gold partner lunch at Partner Summit. And he strongly advised, this was early 2000s, he strongly advised that the partners in that room invest in monthly reoccurring revenue streams and subscription-based revenue. 10 years later, we were in the same room with the same partners, the same gold partners, And a very small percentage of those organizations had made the transition, even 10 years later, even mid 2013, 2015, very few had made that transition.
Is it just fear of the unknown and the new?
Well, a big thing on it is how you pay your people and how people are compensated. A lot of people in the VAR space have consistently operated on you put together a bundle of solution, you do pre-sales engineering, and you drop ship equipment, and you get paid on the gross profit. Managed services, incremental revenue takes an upfront investment, and it takes the ability to finance that and then charge it over time. So that's a different sales motion. It's a different revenue stream. It's a different way of like managing your books. And all these business owners, you got to tell that story to your banks, and banks don't get that. Banks don't understand that. Organizations like Insight and the big boys like CDW and these multi-billion-dollar organizations, they have billions and thousands of employees and billions of dollars in debt and notes that they have to basically facilitate and deal with. So they got to tell this story. And that's a total change in your business model. You got to report every quarter, what's your earnings per share, what's your revenue, what's your debt load, all that kind of good stuff. It's really hard to change that model.
Got it.
Once
So
it's set.
Having billions in debt and then saying, by the way, we want to build out this new infrastructure, which is going to cost a few more billion. Are you guys cool with that?
Right.
Is hard to do.
Yeah, not everyone gets the Elon Musk grace period access to capital. And yeah, he'll figure it out in 20 years. Don't worry about it. Profit? Nah, it's fine. Just go dig some holes and build some electric cars. And
Yeah, how's that Bohr company coming?
they got a flamethrower. I saw it on the Rogan podcast the other day. He's got a little flamethrower thing.
So things are going great.
Things are going great. Fantastic. Actually, Tesla reported their report today actually did pretty well on their earnings report today. I think they dropped earnings today and surprised the street.
Me making fun of Tesla, and I'm not even doing the research.
No, I think the headline on CNBC was they beat an unexpected, not terrible quarter, which I think they were expecting things to be bad. But shout out to the guys on Market Call. That I love that podcast. Great podcast, Market Call, or On the Tape. The Guy Adami and Dan Nathan and Danny Moses.
Market Call, if you're out there and you want to make one person very happy, and that person is Adam Burke, send him a message. Come on as a guest, even if it's like a 2-minute recorded spot. Like, you will make Adam Burke's day.
It would be great. Guy Adami is a fantastic.
I don't know if I could keep up with that guy.
No, I can't.
That guy's got so much energy.
He's got a lot of energy, and he would be a fantastic dude to have on your team at at a trivia night. I mean, the amount of stuff that guy pulls off the top of his head, like random knowledge that is completely useless to the average American, but he kind of weaves into a good tale. He's fantastic. If you don't know Guy Adami from Fast Money on CNBC, funny dude, good guy.
So one of the things Dee mentions in the article is, sorry, I don't know how to pivot out of.
It's a tough pivot. It's a tough pivot. We'll just gloss over it. Just edit it in post.
No, I listen. I will back it up. Guy Adami, very entertaining. It's a great podcast. Immediately after finishing this one, go listen to it. So Dee says, we're starting to say, what's the outcome you need? And going back into our kitchen with this menu of capabilities to bring you the right solution.
Yeah, I mean, that's the building blocks approach, right? We've talked about that a lot, right? What's the customer outcome they're looking for? What do we have available to us to deliver that? And then how do they want to consume it? That's, again, one of the reasons I latched on this article is because there's so many people struggling with the ability to do that. Ask the question about what the customer is actually trying to do. And then without any bias or any preconceived notion about, hey, it needs to be this way, go to the bank of assets that you have as an organization and pull from those building blocks and put together a complex SLA for that organization that kind of makes it simple for them to consume. It's not necessarily simple to deliver. Mm-hmm. It's very complex to deliver, but there are fundamental building blocks that go into every technology stack out there. We've helped organizations, for example, manage wireless. The organization we're working with has 10,000 residents, and they're a real estate investment trust, and they wanted a clean way to sell managed wireless to their residents, to deliver it as a service. They didn't want to source the technology. They didn't want to deal with the cabling. They didn't want to deal with the day two management. They just wanted to have one provider come in and give them a per resident cost for that wireless internet service. Mm-hmm. So what we did is we found the appropriate technology that would fit the bill there. we know the telecommunication circuits had to power it, right? You had to have access to the internet, and then you had to have your switch stack and your security, and then you had to have day 2 management. We bundled all of those costs together and delivered it to the customer on a per resident basis. That gave our customer the ability to basically add that into their rental fee, and we became a profit center for our client as opposed to a cost center, right? So we enabled them to give their residents more. They were able to add that to their rent, and it was a win-win. They got a scalable service across 10,000 units, and we were able to deliver a complex solution as a service. Really, really powerful concept. We do that across the board for all technology, not just wireless. We do it for SD-WAN. We do it for data center. We do it for cloud. We do it for...
And it just starts with a conversation.
Starts with the
listening
conversation
to what
about
they
what
need.
Exactly. Starts with the conversation about what they're trying to do.
Do you think the channel is making the holistic? I'm gonna say holistic, but that's probably not the term used. The idea that the channel is kind of making this more holistic integration approach possible?
No, well, I think people are at different phases of having that conversation. A lot of people get hung up on the idea that they have to be the expert in the solution they're talking about with their customer, as opposed to being a novice and understanding the outcome their customer is looking for. I would love to have 10 partners who were comfortable being uncomfortable and being a novice in a conversation, but could take down notes as far as what the customer is trying to achieve and bring it back to our team, and we can have a conversation about how we could accomplish that end state.
So don't be the smartest person in the room, just be the best note taker in the room.
The
best listener.
Listen to what they're trying to achieve, and then have the faith and confidence that, you have partners behind you that can deliver that. But I think what a lot of people do is they want to become experts in these silos of expertise, and that expertise in that silo kind of limits you to that bundle. And then you're kind of sole source to providers who only play in that one game. And so it's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like, I don't know cybersecurity, so I'm not really going to talk too much about it. Well, you're not going to do much in cybersecurity. You're not going to become an expert until you at least, get involved in more opportunities. So be okay being dumb and bring in people who can help you execute.
Adam, it's like when I was growing up on the harsh streets of Sacramento. I would be walking down the street, a rival gang would come up to me, and they would dance, similar to West Side Story, and they would want to fight me. And I'd say, well, I don't want to fight, but I have my gang right here.
Yeah, you need a guy, or a gal who can source stuff for you.
I think the silo trap you mentioned is a real interesting problem.
It's a great Family Guy. It's a joke about being able to deliver one thing, and this tattoo artist is dealing with this biker who's asking for a skull with flames, and he's this kind of goofy, kind of nerdy person who's like, well, I can draw Kermit the Frog. He's like, no, I want a skull with flames. He's like, well, I'm going to draw a nice Kermit the Frog. It's like, well, your customer's not asking for Kermit the Frog. Your customer's asking for a skull with flames in this specific Family Guy reference. Basically, the idea of being comfortable finding someone who can help deliver what they're looking for, going back to the kitchen and putting it together, that's not a new concept, but it is new to people who feel like they have to be the expert in something in order to talk to their clients about it. That's a trap. I would strongly advise against trying to become the expert in something before just having a conversation with your client.
That's a great tip. Yeah, that's very helpful.
And something else that this article kind of brought up that I wanted to talk about is I think over the next, and this could be completely out of left field, but I think over the next couple of months we're going to see more acquisitions of people who traditionally facilitate a transaction. They're going to try to bring in and bundle in people who help execute a transaction. And we talked about it, and I have no idea. I have no basis of this knowledge whatsoever.
But you kind of see this happening?
Well, so a ton of private equity money has been dumped into the channel recently over the last 2 years, almost $1 billion.
Wow. Right?
North of $1 billion if you look at some of the acquisitions going back to 2018. And these distribution partners are out there, and they traditionally help sales agents and representatives source the appropriate technology. Well, for a long time, these agencies have been buying smaller agencies, right? So We saw our partner Telarus, we saw them buy TCG. We saw our partner Avant buy Planet One. We see these massive organizations continuing to buy. AppSmart has bought, I think it's AppDirect now. They've bought multiple agencies. They're big fish buying smaller fish that have a book of business, right? Upstack had, I think they had 50 million or 100 million from Berkshire Hathaway, and then another debt deal from Morgan Stanley came in. So there's a ton of cash flowing around these agencies right now. And I think it was really interesting. We talked about it on an episode or two ago, but Bridgepoint Technology, Brian and Scott and the guys out there, I'd love to talk to them sometime and dig into this a little bit, but they just made an acquisition of a group called PPT Solutions. And PPT Solutions, interestingly enough, I believe they have a book of business as a CCaaS specialist and selling, advanced communication and call manager solutions.
Yeah.
But I think they also actually help deliver it. So it was a bit of a shift from the playbook that we've seen in the private equity and the roll-up game that these master agents and technology distributors have been doing. They've been kind of doing the big fish, buying the smaller fish, and building a larger conglomerate of a distribution channel. Bridgepoint bought a service provider. They purchased someone, at least from my understanding, that gets into professional services and actually helping to make things work, that's a different game than helping people select the appropriate technology, helping them select the appropriate technology, and then move into implementing and actually turning wrenches and moving product. That's a different game. I think in the next 6 to 12 months, I think we're going to see more of that. I think we're going to see people in the channel that have historically helped broker transactions and helped their sales agents get to the right supplier. I think you're going to start seeing those people in those organizations help facilitate the move as well and help facilitate the delivery as well.
That's interesting.
You kind of have these different competing silos. So like the article we're reading about is, okay, Insight's a publicly traded company. They're bringing on this gentleman from Capgemini who's done all this service integration in the past. They have a huge sales force. They have a huge book of business and existing customers. They're going to try to monetize that by selling more services. So that's one channel that's kind of fun to watch. Then you have the distribution channel that we're talking about, the Avants and Telaris of the world. They have thousands upon thousands of independent agents and sellers that bring them business, and they hold the paper with the suppliers. Now, they've rolled up a lot of organizations underneath them. They've gotten very big, and they've expended a lot of capital to buy those organizations. How are they basically going to pay down and get a positive return on that? Is it a 5 to 10 year plan, return on investment, and just keep that cash flow coming through the organization? Or are they going to basically juice their returns a little bit by bringing on people that actually help them capture additional revenue?
Because that's a lot of patience to tell the market, hey, wait to 5 to 10 years.
From a private standpoint on a business, like you run your own shop, yeah, you could do that. But like private equity, they usually have a 5-year turnaround.
Okay.
They usually have a game plan. There's usually a clock, right? They got pools of private investors' money, and those private investors want a return and they want feedback, within a certain amount of time. So what's going to be that catalyst? Because the business model for a technology broker, for those who don't know, is they hold paper with service providers like Quest, and their agents out there in the market sell our products and services, and our payments run through those brokers. They take a small fee of our payments that go to the sales agent as commission, but that small fee is maybe 10 to 30% of whatever we're paying for that engagement. But if you're doing hundreds of millions of dollars, in order that small fee, the commissions across the channel are anywhere between 7 to 25%. 30% of that 25% is not a huge number to pay back those millions of dollars, right? So there's some strategy out there that hasn't been unveiled yet in the channel. I'm totally guessing here, but at least what I would see people doing is they're going to start going after service providers.
This is the tea leaf section reading of the podcast.
Well, just the idea of
it makes sense.
What's the next move? How are you going to do it?
Yeah.
How are you going to, I mean, that's a lot of capital out there sloshing around, right? And we're seeing what happens when people aren't necessarily good stewards of capital. There's a lot of layoffs going on right now with people who are in organizations that, overhired and are having to deal with that from a headcount standpoint right now. So I don't know, when the recession hits or when things happen or when the tide goes out, you see what people are swimming in.
I get it, Adam. That's what's keeping you up at night, thinking about people in bathing suits.
Well, this is kind of fun because I like the gamesmanship of it. I like understanding how the people are planning what's their next move.
It's got a little Game of Thrones vibe to it.
A little bit,
Yeah.
Hopefully there's no red wedding coming up soon, but
Hopefully not.
I think it's exciting because we got the article about Insight and what their strategy is. You got the technology distributors, and I'm interested to see what their next play is, because after TBI merges or anybody merges with AppSmart, or there's only so many left. There's only so many left, right? So these are massive organizations right now. We're a supplier to them. I'm interested to see what they do. They're definitely a key part of our business model, and love to see what they're up to.
That's a great breakdown.
Hope so. I hope the 10% of the 30% didn't throw people off, but it's basically
10% of 30%, 3%.
there you go.
There you go.
Yeah, math.
You get everything here. You get insight chatter. You get math questions. I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying this face-to-face discussion. It's really nice to sit down and podcast face-to-face.
This is a good venue, and we're kind of back in the cave here. I don't know, if you haven't been to Quest headquarters, you should come. It's a fantastic site. We have a massive data center here, our security operations and network operations, and then Paul and I are in a back conference room back here. No windows.
I mean, we're biased, but we're accurately biased. This is a great facility.
We're accurately biased. Yeah, great facility. But yeah, we are tucked in the back here. It almost feels like a legit podcast studio.
Yeah, I don't want the rooms up front because people are walking by all the time and
the glass windows, the glass wall,
wanting to wave and pop their heads in and
yeah.
have some respect.
Have some respect,
For
exactly.
the podcast.
On air. We are on air.
We're on air. We're doing things. And Adam, I'm really glad you're here and breaking this all down. And I'm excited now to see what's going to happen in the future.
I am as well. Yeah, it's been good. So we'll see what's on the docket for next week.
Have a great week, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks so much for listening. The Incident Report is brought to you by Quest Technology Management. With over 40 years of experience, Quest is a leading technology integrator working seamlessly with your staff and systems to achieve your IT goals. Learn more about everything they do at questsys.com. And if you have questions or suggestions for the podcast, you can always email Adam and myself at theincidentreport@questsys.com. We hope you have a great week, and we'll see you next time.